What is going on, everybody? This is David Greenspan, and well, hey, welcoming you back to season 4 of the Mindshare podcast. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems and our friends over at the Buzz Conference. Now, the Buzz has 2 dates that I've been telling you about for a number of weeks now. One of them is coming up literally this upcoming week. So check this out. If you are here right now watching the live show, you still probably have a couple of days to try to figure well, no, let me rewind on that. You got to do it right now. Go and get your tickets for the upcoming Buzz Conference event that is taking place at the Liberty Grand in Toronto. This is a philanthropic event. It's taking place this Friday, June 24th. And the goal is to raise over $1 million over the next 5 years to support Indigenous communities. So again, now, if you're watching live, do that now. If you happen to listen to this recording, you listen on Friday morning, well, you still got time for tonight. If it's like Saturday or any time past the 24th, you missed it. Like, it's over. But I still want to encourage you, get in touch with the Buzz Conference. Be sure that you connect with them. There is still a lot of ways for you to get involved in this event, whether you show up at the live event or not. So make sure you connect with the Buzz to do that. Also, mark this date down. September 7th and 8th. Disruption 2022, next event coming up from the Buzz, again later on in the fall, taking place as well in Toronto, Ontario at the Liberty Grand downtown Toronto. Be sure that you get your tickets for that one. Disruption 2022, the title says it all. It is going to be absolutely loaded, and I want to see you there. Okay, so check in with the Buzz online at www.thebuzzconference.com. Make sure you visit them on Instagram at the Buzz Conference. Keep tabs on all the awesome events they're always doing. Of course, get your latest copy of the Buzz Digital Magazine, and hey, we are super excited to have the Buzz Conference as an ongoing sponsor of the Mindshare podcast. Now, also with us today is Kits. And of course, Kits is always here. We've got this powerful marketing tool that is just, it's out there to help you build a lot more Mindshare. And if you're using Kits, talking about, if you're not using Kits, it comes back to like one of those like, what the? But seriously, this is this opportunity right now. Get involved with this program. Get involved with this system. This is where you can really start to work a lot easier, spend a lot less on your marketing, and make a hell of a lot more money because it's a complete marketing engine in the background that's working your contact list on a regular basis. And hey, while the sun is shining, it would be nice to go out and enjoy. Well, while you're enjoying and doing the work you're supposed to be doing, Kits is in the background pumping more business through to you. So again, check it out. Go to my website, mindshare101.com. Up at the top right corner, you want to click on marketing, book a demo, get in touch with my team. They will share all the details with you about it. Again, mindshare101.com/marketing. And as you know, we are on a push to get 100 reviews on iTunes. And I'd like to ask you all, if you have not yet, please mark this link down. ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. You can go over there, give us a big 5-star rating. Of course, if 6 stars, we're down with that. Give us a nice little review. Tell us how much you love the show. And all joking aside, we would be very grateful if you took a couple of moments to do that. So again, that's ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. As always, thank you in advance. Today's episode is number 186. In Las Vegas, where you can't beat the house, there are a few elite players that casinos fear. And these are what we call the advantage players. Experts at unbeatable games like blackjack. They dominate by combining superior skills, lightning insight, and razor-sharp instinct, winning when the biggest bets are on the table. An advantage player, an expert blackjack player, venture capitalist, and hedge fund manager who has participated in $1 billion worth of deals. He has adapted these skills, attitudes, and philosophies to business. His cage-rattling keynote speeches and media appearances expose advantage play, the art of knowing what comes next. Because for advantage players, winning is inevitable. Joining me on this episode of the Mindshare podcast is disruption futurist and money business insider, Mr. Joel Block. Joel, welcome to the Mindshare podcast.
David, how are you, man? Nice to be here with you.
I'm doing well, my man. It is great to see you again. I thank you for making the time today. I know that you are what, currently in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, we just relocated here from Los Angeles. I'm a Los Angeles native, but we're taking a little adventure here in Colorado. So there you go.
Well, you see everybody as we talk about winning is inevitable, and this man right here being an advantage player. We're about to dive into all of this. For my Canadian fans that are watching this show right now, this man is a very hardcore baseball fan, which me and my baseball. He also loves his football, which I only really partake in when it comes to Super Bowl. But when it comes to this hockey thing, he's not completely connected. That being said, he's in Colorado right now. So talk about winning is inevitable. This guy's just where the winners are. And while the Avalanche, they're on a good little pace here, Mr. Joel. So we'll see what happens, pal.
David, I don't know if I'm in Colorado because the Avalanche are winning, or if the Avalanche are winning because I just got to Colorado. I'm not sure which one it is.
There you
I
go.
won't take credit,
Well,
but I do like to
the
go where the
advantage
winners
player.
are. You know that.
I know that, my man. Hey, so you know what? I know, but tell us a little bit more about you. Like, who are you? What is your background? What do you do on a daily basis? Sort of wrap their head around a little bit of Mr. Joel Block.
I actually, as a youngster, started in the CPA business. I used to play cards. I played on a blackjack team. I used to play solo. I used to play on teams. We go to Vegas, and we were extremely elite players. I mean, it was sort of like you saw that movie 21, the MIT thing. We were a few years before that, but it was exactly like that. There were some things about what we did that were a little different than what they did, but the concept was very much similar. And there was one time that I took some serious heat and got kicked out of a casino. So it was terribly.
Still got all your fingers? You still got all your fingers?
I got all my fingers, but it was a terribly scary experience. And I thought I was gonna, my knees were gonna get broken or something was gonna happen. So, but that really was a scary thing. But that was a very exciting period in my life, and it really taught me that I could get to the top of the game. And I learned a lot about being at the top of the game. I mean, worldwide, I was a top player in the world, and I was playing on a team with other top players in the world. And there are lessons that come from that experience that have shaped everything that I've done in my life, in business and in life ever since. And it's always my goal to play at the top of the game. And people who play at the top of the game, they do things that are a little different than other people. And my life's goal, my life's work, is about teaching people how to think, be, and act like a top level person, and we call that an advantage player.
So tell me this: we, obviously our audience is very focused in the real estate industry. So tell me, when we think about real estate investments, we think about blackjack. What do the two have in common?
Well, they have more in common than you would imagine. But I've spent about half my career in the real estate business, and when I say real estate business, I'm not talking about being a broker. I've always been a principal. When I was a young CPA, my job was to do the books and records and tax returns for 500 partnerships, real estate partnerships. And I hated the work. It was terrible, dreadful work, but I loved reading the partnership agreements. And I left Price Waterhouse as a youngster and started a little syndication firm. And me and another guy, we tied up a little building. We cold called a bunch of doctors, got them to give us some money. And then we got some more money. And then we got some more money. And we bought an apartment building and a shopping center. And we just kept buying stuff. And that really is the syndication business. So as a syndicator and more recently a fund manager, what I do is aggregate capital. So investors give us capital. And unlike brokers, I actually have the money. I've got a bank account full of money that we use to go buy assets with. So we actually engage real estate brokers to go find us things rather than us being the brokers. We're the principals. And what happens is that, people often will say, listen, I'm a broker. I make pretty good money, but my clients make 20 or 50 times more than I do. How do I get onto that side of the table? And so, later in my career, I got a call from an executive at Marks and Millichap, and he asked me how to, if I would come to Florida and teach them how to set up these kinds of deals. And that turned into our syndication hedge fund symposium program. That has nothing to do with blackjack, by the way, but that's just kind of my background. We can tie these pieces together. So,
well, here, let's do this then, because we've talked a few times, or I read through the bio, and having watched you do a keynote presentation on a major stage talking about being an advantage player. What is an advantage player?
an advantage, have you ever seen these kind of people that they just sort of glide through life. They just kind of have all their ducks in a row. They sort of seem to know how the rules of the game work better than other people, and they just sort of seem to know what's coming next. Those are that's what I think of as an advantage player. They're people that they just understand the rules. Now, let me just tell you something. I'm sitting at the blackjack table with 6 other people, me and 6 other people, and all of us are exposed to the same information. 6 of the people sitting at the table, they don't know what day of the week it is. They don't know what time it is. They don't know what to have for breakfast. They don't know what they're doing for dinner. They don't know anything that's happening around them. And I know
I've
so
never heard
much
stories
about what's
like
happening at the
life
table.
before.
But I know so much about what's happening that I can actually predict, with a certain amount of accuracy, what cards are coming next. So how is it that one person knows everything that's going on and the rest of the people don't know anything, and we're all exposed to the same information? And that's what advantage play is all about. Advantage play is the concept of knowing what comes next and being so in tune with what's happening and having systems that support you. There are systems for predicting the future that I have developed, and counting cards is a good example of that. And you saw me do a demonstration where I taught the audience how to count a deck of cards the way professional card players count a deck of cards. I showed the
And we
audience
had like
9.
1,200 people in the audience there when you
Yeah,
did
it
that
was a
too.
giant audience.
Yeah.
I showed everybody there was 10 cards. I showed them 9 and asked the audience to guess what the last card was. And everybody in the audience knew what it was, because once they understood the system, they could predict what was coming next. And you need these systems in your life. Your investors need you to be at the top of your game. They need you to think differently than other people. Investors want you to be creative in ways other people are not, do things other people don't do, act in ways that other people don't. And the courage to do that is really what makes you an advantage player.
Well, I was just going to ask you that. Like, how did you become an advantage player? Is it
Well,
did you just hit it? Like, I just had the courage to do it where most people
no,
don't.
I listen, I didn't even know what it was. So it's not
Okay.
like I woke up and said, today I'm going to be an advantage player. That's not what happened. I had read a book about memorization, and I thought, gee, well, if, I started memorizing things. Harry Lorraine's book. It was a famous book in the 70s and 80s. And I thought, gee, if I could memorize things, then maybe I could learn how to memorize a deck of cards. And because I could memorize cards, I could memorize numbers, license plates, people's names, and I started practicing doing all this stuff. And what I realized was that blackjack is not about memorization at all. It has nothing to do with memorization. It has to do with understanding a system. So I bought some blackjack books and I started studying those. And then I went to a blackjack seminar, and where a guy was, in the 70s, it was kind of popular. They would teach people how to count cards so you could go make money in the casinos. And so I went to this seminar. This is like the early 80s. And I go up to the guy at the end who did the seminar, and I said, "Man, that was just a great seminar." He goes, "Well, you're going to join the program?" I said, "No, I don't need the program. I already know how to do it." And he said, "No kidding." I said, he said, "Can you count a deck of cards?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm really, really good at it." He said, "How fast can you count a deck?" I said, "I can do it in 18 seconds. He goes, "That is very good for a beginner." And I'm like, what do you mean for a beginner? Like, I'm working hard at this. I said, "How fast do you do it?" And he goes, "I can do it in 7 seconds." And I'm like, wow. We just became instant friends. And every day I was in college, every day after school, I would go to this guy's house and we would practice playing blackjack together. And he taught me, the game at the most sophisticated level. And he worked for one of the top, blackjack, one of the top well-known authors and gamblers, Jerry Patterson at the time, very, very famous guy. And they took me on their team, because I had learned to play at that level, and I became an advantage player through a lot of work. So then I thought, later in my career, I thought, gee, I understood what being at the top of the game felt like, and I need to do that in every other part of my life. Everything that I want to be great at, that's my goal. It's aspirational. I need to be an advantage player in everything that I do. And I want the people around me, the people on my teams, the people that I interact with, the people who are in my audiences, I want them all to be advantage players. And you know what I'm about. I mean, you heard, I'm serious about this. I mean, it's a serious commitment, and I've got dozens of these advantage strategies, and my advantage strategies are the way that people play at the top of their game. And so we've got advantage strategies in real estate and everywhere else.
And you've got advantage play, right? Is
Well,
that?
so
I mean,
so an
that seems
advantage
like an
player is the person who
yeah.
uses the concept of advantage play. So advantage play is kind of the verb or the thing, and the
Okay,
advantage
cool.
player is the person. That's all. They're similar concepts. Just one is the person, one is the thing.
Okay, so how do we leverage being an advantage player or even the concept of advantage play when it comes to real estate deals?
Well, so first of all, this is a real estate show, and so
Yep.
people want to buy more real estate. So one of the things that we, and this is not about how to be a better broker, because I'm not the person to teach people about how to be a better broker. I'm I'm all about acquiring real estate as a principal. Now, let's say you don't have enough money to be a principal. Well, the laws in various states, in the United States and Canada, allow you to take money from other people, put it into a pool, just like Wall Street does. The whole economy of our countries is based on pooling of capital. Nobody could afford to buy a giant building like the Empire State Building all by themselves. Well, there are a few people nowadays. That didn't used to be true. I mean, got a couple of Elon Musk and some people that could do that, but for the
Elon
most
who?
part,
No, I'm joking,
our
joking.
our two countries have been built on the concept of people putting money together. It's a capitalist system. Ours is a little more capitalistic than yours, though. But the concept's the same. We put money into a pool, and then everybody shares the profits. That's the way it works. Whether you're buying corporations, whether you're buying a building, and so the concept of putting money in a pool is very familiar to people. Well, who do you think people want to bet on? Do you think they want to bet on a schmo, or do you think they want to bet on an advantage player? I mean, everybody wants to back an advantage player because advantage players have a sense about what's happening better than other people. They probably have better deal flow. They have better sensitivities about what kinds of deals they should get involved with. And there are people who are really, really good at these things, and they just need a little bit of fine tuning to really become an advantage player.
Okay, so let's throw a scenario out there right now. And let's say that I want to set up my kids for their future. And I mean, we've really taken that today and leveraged that as, from the underlying concept or maybe the major concept around being an advantage player to kind of take it and saying, how do I translate this into actually building some wealth? And I would love a big bank account like you've got with like all sorts of money in it. And so if I said that I want to invest in my future, the scenario becomes I want to set my kids up for their future. I want to set my family up for our future. How do I invest in my future through real estate? And I remember when we had spoken, you had mentioned about three separate perspectives.
Well, let me give you at least two perspectives, and maybe there's a
Mhm.
third, but there's at least two. Um,
Okay.
there's two different ways that you can make an investment, two main ways. One is you can be active. Active means that I'm going to buy the house, I'm going to buy the building, I'm going to be responsible for the tenants, I'm going to be responsible for the toilets, I'm going to be responsible for the maintenance and all the things. It's a lot more work than you think. A lot of people find out that they don't really like real estate because it's too much work. Now, real estate
Right.
is a great hedge, especially in an inflationary environment like this, where every day the money in our bank accounts is getting to be worth less. Real estate may go down a little bit, but eventually it will come back. Your money will never come back. Once the money goes down, it never comes back. That's just kind of how it works. So, active is one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is you can say, I want to be passive. I've got a full-time job. I'm very, very busy. I'm a surgeon. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. Whatever you are, you're a business person. Whatever you are, you're busy working all day long, and you want your money to work as hard as you do. And that's a big shortcoming for a lot of very busy people is that their money doesn't work as hard as they do. So that's the reason that people come to someone like me. They call and they say, "Hey, Joel, listen, I've got some extra money. I've got a retirement fund. I've got whatever. I know that you're buying real estate. Can I put some money into your fund, and then you go buy some money, and then we all share the profits together?" That's what a fund manager, a hedge fund manager, or a syndicator like me, that's what I do, is I put
Okay.
together these kinds of projects. So that's the second way you can invest. You can either be active and own the real estate, or you can be passive and be a partner with somebody else where somebody else is in charge. And that person, they get an extra share, they get some fees because they're busy. That's their business. Their business is to put these deals together. And if
The
they do a
QB,
good
like you
job,
mentioned it to me at one point, right? Like they're the QB behind the whole thing.
they're right. They're the quarterback. They're called the
Yeah.
sponsor or the promoter. They're the person that puts the whole deal together, and they're compensated for doing that.
Okay. Okay. So we look at pretty blunt logic. You can be an active investor where you're just going to go and you're going to do this all on your own. You're going to take the time. But one thing that we know, and everybody tuned in right now, it's really important to stress this as well, is to say that we know that time is not usually on our side. And if you've got all sorts of time on your hands and just all these open hours, then there's probably a lot of stuff that you're not getting done on another side, or you've already really hit the nail on the head from years of hard work and you're now enjoying life. So you've got some time on your hands. But generally speaking, most entrepreneurs, most people in the real estate industry are always running around like chickens with their heads cut off. And again, you know that I'm often talking about time management and making sure that you empower time to manage you. Everybody knows that, right? In this case, though, when you look at that and say, I'm going to be an active investor, that's going to be a tough one for you if time is not on your side,
Yeah.
which means that you really
David,
want to start focusing on the passive side.
It's not only the time. It's that, let's say you need $100,000 to buy a certain house, and let's say you only have 25,000. So maybe you don't have enough to do it. You might need to be partners with other people in order to deploy your capital. So you also have, so besides having time limitations, you have capital restrictions and limitations. And sometimes putting capital into a deal might be better for you, might not always be better. You might like to do it yourself. Maybe you'll get a better return. Although often the returns that you get on your own are the same as what you would get with somebody else who's really good. Because the truth is that when it comes to real estate, like everything else, and anything in the money business, when it comes to money, everything's rigged. And there's a rig, and you have to understand what the rig is. So, for example, let me just tell you that if a real estate broker comes up with a smoking hot deal, some really, really great deal, the likelihood is that if you're just the first time buyer, that broker is not going to call you with the most smokingest hot deal that person has. Because number one, you probably don't have the money to buy it for cash. You probably got to get a loan. So you may not close. It may not work out. You don't do any other transactions with them. So you don't have any credibility or, any street cred with the person. They don't owe you any favors back because you've never done them any favors. Whereas somebody like me who buys all the time, there might be, something where the person says, look, Joel, I'm going to pass you this really incredible deal. Could you introduce me to one of your hedge fund friends so I could sell them more stuff? And we're trading deals back and forth. And so naturally, people who run funds get better deals than just regular people. And what ends up happening is that I'll sell the project to an individual person, after I've taken a lot of profit out of it. So I'll make more money in a handful of days than they might make in 5 years. And that's the reality of how the money business works. Because, I'm on the inside and everybody else on the outside. Now, when I say inside, I'm not talking about doing anything that's illegal, improper, or otherwise unethical.
Right. No. Yeah.
It's just how it works that if you and I know each other, the likelihood is that we're going to be able to have a smooth transaction. If I call you from the outside and say, listen, I know you don't know me, but I'm a really nice guy. Would you give me the best deal you've ever seen? The answer is no. You're not doing that. So I tend to get better deals. Fund managers, guys like me, tend to get better deals. And so in a certain way, you might make more money going, riding on the coattails of somebody who's an advantaged player, an expert, somebody who's well-known in their community than by doing it yourself. So it might be time, it might be capital, it just might be getting a better deal, and you have to kind of look at the whole package.
Well, look, and I was going to ask about that. Like, what if I don't have the capital? Where does the money come from to do this?
Well, you have to have some capital. I mean, if you're the investor,
right? Because I want to do it. I want to invest. I want to start doing stuff.
All right, so
it sounds like I need a lot of money right now.
Okay.
And on one hand, I would imagine you do need a lot of money, but there's obviously other options.
So there's a couple of different ways to look at this. If you're the investor, then you have to have some capital. You have to either to buy a house on an active basis or to invest on a limited basis. If you don't have either of those, but you've got some real estate experience and you're an advantaged player because you're a strong real estate broker. You're somebody who really understands the game. You understand neighborhoods, markets. You understand asset management, property management. You understand kind of the way the game works, and you have the ability to identify a good fix and flip or a good project that you can add value to. Then you can attract capital through your own intellect. Your own ability to do good is going to make it possible for you to attract capital. So that's kind of the third way. You can be active, you can be passive, or you can become the quarterback of the deal. And being the quarterback of the deal, you have to have some some background, some track record. You have to have a little bit of something going on. But that's the third way that you can do this. If you have no capital at all or very little capital, the way you can get into this game is by getting other people to give you their capital, and then you go and you organize the deals. But you have to be able to prove to them that you've got some background that they can rely on.
Is there, if I've got some capital, is there a minimum dollar amount of how big of an investment I should be starting with?
You know what? I don't give people financial advice. I mean, it's not for me to tell
Okay,
you what you should
fair.
do with your money. I mean, that's I'm not licensed to do that. That is my business. And I deal with people that are somewhat substantial. I mean, they're not generally not early in their investing career, but by and large, let me just tell you this: when you go to your financial advisor and you say, let's take a look at my portfolio, that person is mostly going to put you in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Like I said, everything about the money business is rigged. And let me just tell you the rig there. The reason that they're not going to tell you to buy real estate is because they don't get commission on real estate.
Right.
They get commission on stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Now, if it's a REIT, which is like a real estate investment trust, they get a commission on that. But those aren't really that great of deals. I mean, they're not really outstanding. I mean, if you go with somebody who's private, you might get into an outstanding deal. If you invest in a restaurant or you invest in a shopping center with a private group of people, it's probably going to have a lot less overhead attached to it than one of these big outfits. So, but the stockbroker or the financial advisor will never tell you about that, because every dollar that they take out of your portfolio, let's say that there's $1 million in the portfolio, or 100, it doesn't matter how much. Let's say it's 100 grand or $1 million, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And the financial advisor gets 1%. Every dollar that comes out of that portfolio that goes to something that's outside of their fence that they control, they don't get commission on. So they really don't want that to happen. And that's a big problem. So the truth is, you really are not getting unbiased advice from people who work on a commission. Now, if it's a registered investment advisor or somebody who's probably not working on a commission, you'll probably get much more unbiased advice, which would be very valuable. Right. So I would just you have to kind of see where the rig is.
Fair enough. So then, I'm a realtor. I'm a real estate salesperson, broker, sales rep. Where do I find the deals? Is this just me on my own as I come across, a variety of options as I may be looking for stuff for my clients? Or how can I actually be more strategic with my approach and, again, become an advantage player on that?
Well, let me put it like this.
Yeah.
If you're a real estate broker and you're having trouble finding deals, there's nothing that I can help you with that will make you be an advantage player, because that means you don't know your market well enough. You're not deep enough in your market. You have to be deep in your market. Now, if you're deep in your market, let's say you're at the 80, 85% level, I can help you turn the dial to make you 90, 92%, 93%, 94%.
Mm-hmm.
So we can turn the dial on that last couple of percent, but you have to do the work to get you to the level of being at 85, 87, 90%, where you're really, really kind of getting near the top of your class, where you really have, people, if you're an early stage broker and you don't have any deal flow and you only look at the multiple listing service and there's nothing really new or exciting there and you're just trying to peddle the inventory, investors don't need that. That's not what they want. They want somebody who's more creative. They want somebody that has more connections. They want somebody that has a better network. They want somebody that really understands the game better than other people. And if you're just one of the 6 people sitting at the blackjack table and you're trying to play and you don't really know what's going on, I can't help you that much. So you have to really show up with the basics under control.
So, and what I'm taking from that is, and this comes back to the discipline and the dedication to what you do on a daily basis to really get the knowledge under you to be the best you possibly can when it comes to the actual real estate game. From there, now you're going to have your eye on the prize, because you're going to understand better what that market really offers and what is a deal, what is a good opportunity. And at that point now, once you're able to actually spot that, now you've obviously got enough knowledge under your belt to say, look, I know what I'm looking for. Let's go to that next level with it.
Once you kind of understand those pieces, then we can do some fine tuning that will really take you to the top of your game. And but you have to do the work to get to the first, the second, the third floor. The top floor, we can work on that together. We can get you there, but you have to do the work to get you. And I think that everybody kind of understands, if you're in this business, you understand what it means to get to the second, third, fourth floor. Maybe you don't know how to be at the top floor, but you know how to be at a pretty high floor compared to everybody else. I mean, I think everybody who's in this business understands there are things that top brokers do that other people don't do.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that top investors do that other people don't do. And you have to kind of get that background. You have to understand how to spot deals, how to have people sending you deals. You need to know how to do due diligence on deals. The basics have to really be under control. Once you understand the basics, the fine tuning, there's a lot of fine tuning, and people, it's hard to imagine kind of what that fine tuning looks like, but people who are at the top know there's something I'm missing. I don't know what it is, but they know that something's missing. And that's the fine tuning that we're talking about. We can take you, to the next level. And those are the people that we help turn into syndicators, fund managers, sponsors. They're people that really start at the top of their game.
Okay. And I was going to ask you now, so what is a syndicator and how do I find one?
So a syndicator is a person who organizes group investments. So there's two things. There's syndications and there's funds. A syndication is a project. So you buy an apartment building, you rehab it, you put the tenants in there, you sell the building, you distribute out the profits, you give everybody back their capital, boom, boom, you wash your hands, and the deal's over. That's a project. A fund, on the other hand, and wealthier people tend to prefer funds because they just want the money working all the time. Whereas kind of earlier stage people like projects because they kind of want to keep an eye on their money. But people who are wealthier, they really just want to put the money to work and set it and forget it. So a fund is you get the syndicator, somebody like me, the fund manager, gets a bunch of money in, and then I go buy this building, I maybe go buy that building, I fix it up, I do whatever I'm supposed to do, and then ultimately when it's finished, we sell it. Everybody gets back their share of the profit, but we keep the principal and we go buy another building with it. That's the main difference between a syndication and a fund. In a syndication, you not only get your profit, you get your capital back, wash your hands, and everybody's done. And then you start over again and you're back with nothing. You just get your money back. So in a fund, the money's continuously working. And if you like and trust the fund manager, that's the kind of deal you want to be in. You want to be in a place where the money's constantly working. So, it's not like one is better than the other. You just got to do what the right thing is at the right time. But that's the way it works.
Okay. So if I'm looking for a fund manager, would that fund manager be a private entity? Potentially, yes. I guess.
And then these people are not easy to find. Like you don't go to the yellow.
Well, that's what I was thinking. From a private perspective, you got to find it's like a needle in a haystack for the right person.
This has always sort of been a country club business where you kind of meet somebody at the club and or one friend introduces you to, hey, a couple of people are playing golf. Hey, Sally, what are you doing with your money? Hey, Bill, what are you doing with your money? Well, you know what? I invest it with some of these different guys. And maybe I'll introduce you to my guy. You can meet him. And I'm not talking about your financial advisor. I'm talking about maybe a fund manager, somebody that's kind of overseeing some of this capital. So they're private groups that form. And they're all kind of private groups in our societies. For example, I've been in a private group of guys that own Dodger tickets for years. And there's thousands of little groups at Dodger Stadium and stadiums all over the country, just little groups of people that agree on whatever the rules are, that they're going to buy some tickets together and they're going to share them because nobody wants to go to that many games. And they share the tickets and there's some rules. And so there's private groups. These private groups are very common, but they're not easy to find. And so you gotta work to find them. But about 10 years ago in the United States, they changed the rules. So it's not so much a country club business anymore because the country club concept really excluded a lot of people. It really made it very difficult for people who were kind of earlier in their investing career to find these opportunities. So they made it possible for people like me to advertise, for these fund manager people to advertise. So I now can advertise and say, listen, I've got a fund and we're doing this. And if you'd like to participate, these are the kind of deals we're doing. Call me. And I can put those ads on Facebook and in other places. So they've really eased up the rules. Maybe not so much in Canada, but they did that here in the United States. So it's become a little easier for people to find fund managers, sponsors, syndicators, and people who are putting deals together than it used to be. You still have to vet the people. You still have to make sure, just because they say, here, give me your money, you want to be very careful, and you want to make sure that they're doing things that are in line with what you understand, what you like, what you agree with. But it's a little easier to find them now than it used to be.
So, okay, speaking of the difficulty of finding them and sort of looking at the different opportunities out there, should I just try to put my own syndication together? Should
Well,
I maybe not try and put the syndication together, but go and find, one friend of mine and create this smaller group? Is that the way to go
so
now?
let me put it like this. If you and a
Yep.
friend were to do it, if two people were just two friends were going to go do it, and you each had some money and you found a little building that you want to buy, you can absolutely be partners and you can make that happen. The difference between that, so in that situation, you have two active people, two active partners that decide to do this together. It could be three people, four people, whatever. What I'm talking about, a fun situation is, David, you give the money to me, I do all the work, you sit quietly, and I send you some dividends at the end of the year or whenever you get them, and
Mhm.
that's it. So you're completely passive, and I'm in charge, and that's really the main difference between setting say a fund and like either an active by yourself, active as a partnership. There's no better way to do it than another way. It just depends on what's right for you. And you have to figure out, let me listen, if you don't have the money to be in a partnership with someone, let's say maybe you have 10,000 or 20,000 and you want to just put that in passively into a deal, then you have to look for a deal that can take that. If you've got a little more money and you want to partner with another person that has a similar amount, you could probably go buy a rental house together. That might not accomplish the objective about taking care of your children, but that might only be the first rental house that you get. Then you might buy a second rental house. And
Right.
maybe you need to make it your business to put aside some amount of money every month and into a savings account, and then take that money every year and put that into an investment of some kind. So you really have to think about what's possible. And by doing that, you'll be able to start accomplishing those goals.
Well, and as we talk about investing in our futures, and you and I again on a previous call had talked about this, but squeezing the profit out of an investment, and it depends on obviously the size of it. It depends on how much you are involved in it for. It depends on obviously a number of different factors. But you'd sort of said slice it up like a loaf of bread.
Yeah. Well, that's what Wall Street is really good at. Wall Street, if you take a company like Disney, basically
Hmm.
they've sliced it up into millions of little slices called shares of stock, and every person buys how many slices of bread they want. But if you and a friend are going to, do a building together, that's going to be two people. That's not really slicing it into slices. I mean, that's two people that are one person, or two people or three people that take it down together. But in my business, where I can have 20, 30, 50, 100 people, they each say how many slices they want. Okay, slices are 25,000. How many do you want? I'll take two, I'll take three, I'll take seven, I'll take six. And I don't care how many you buy. I mean, everybody can buy how many they want because we've set them up like a loaf of bread. And that's what we do.
Makes sense.
So that's
Okay.
that's you know that's what makes my business work. It works because people can buy what they want. And in a situation where you're going to do it actively, you have to bring almost all the resources to the table yourself, or find somebody to come in and contribute resources with you. And by the way, if there's a mortgage, you have to sign the mortgage. In a passive deal, I sign the mortgage. You don't sign anything. So there
Well, and
are
there's the thing.
some
So when you're right in the active side of it, time, money, liability. In the
risk. Yeah, I
passive,
mean,
it's risk. In the passive, it's money. And as we talk
well,
about money,
it's money, but it's also trust. You have to trust the
well,
people
of,
that
of
you're
course,
working
oh
with.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So when we talk about money, because I rewind a moment ago when I asked about dollars, and you said I'm not here to give financial advice. Fair, totally fair. The question that I have, you also just brought up a moment ago, when you said, if you've got 10 or you've got 20,000, and I just kind of want to clarify that for just a moment and go, can I do something with 10 and 20,000, or like, no, start with like X? Like, just again, this is not
Well,
financial advice. It's just more like, what's your thoughts there?
let me put it like this. You
Yeah.
probably could not buy a piece of real estate in Toronto with 10,000, right?
No,
You
you
pro-
can't.
you
No.
probably could not buy that in most United States cities, but there are some
Right.
cities where 10 or 20,000 would probably be enough to make a deposit or a down payment on a house. So,
Mhm.
we have secondary and tertiary cities where you probably could do that. And so I would tell you that maybe you need to be thinking about some of these secondary and tertiary cities to make your investment. Maybe that needs to be part of your plan, is where can I buy the real estate if you want to do it by yourself? Now, buying out of the country, buying it out of your state, buying far away, that comes with other problems, because now if things aren't going
Right.
that great, either you got to hire property management or you got to fly out at great expense and great inconvenience to keep an eye on your deal. Um, there are other things you can buy too, by
Talk
the
about
way.
money. If you've only got 10, 20K to invest, and now you're going to start flying around, it's
Yeah,
probably not the
I
right
mean,
place.
it's incompatible, right? So you can't do that.
Yeah. Now, talking about making money, and we talk about, well, here, let's throw this one out there, because I know that in my world, doing the marketing side of the game and really working with the real estate industry between mortgage brokers, realtors, loan officers, both north and south of the border, one of the things that comes up often is people are, how to do it quick and easy. Like, what's the quickest, easiest way to do this? And I kind of look back and I go, there is no magic pill. Like, whoever told you this stuff, it doesn't work like that. In fact, anything we want most in life takes time, it takes effort, it takes hard work. Again, there is no magic pill. So my question to you, Joel, becomes, can I make money in the short term in investing in real estate, or is real estate investing a long game no matter what? Like, and what does
No,
long term mean? If you do tell me it's long
well,
term, what does that mean? Is that 1 to
let
3,
me let
3 to
me
5, 5 to 10, longer?
yeah, it could be
Yeah.
1, 3, 5, 10. I mean, it could be any of those. But let me tell you that, like anything, there's short-term money, there's long-term money. Um, if you are a retail investor, just a regular person, you're probably going to have to buy a piece of real estate and hold on to it for a good while. If you
Mhm.
are a very savvy investor, an advantage player, you're kind of at the top of your game. You understand your market better than other people. You understand kind of the world better than other people. There are lots of short-term opportunities. Let's say that you spot a property, and I'm not talking about brokers. I'm talking about people that are not
Mhm.
principals, that are not brokers. Let's say that you spot a deal and somebody offers it to you for 75, and you immediately know it's worth 150. Maybe either a little bit of fix up, swept out, cleaned up, or whatever. What you might do is a lot of this, they might flip it, they might wholesale it, they might do something with it that's very short term. They might acquire the property for 75,000 and then immediately put it back on the market to another person for 105 and tell them, hey, look, we're giving you lots of upside. You're going to buy for 105. It's worth 150, whatever. And that person might scoop 25, 35,000, 45,000, whatever the number is, in a couple of days. So there are lots of short-term opportunities, but the likelihood of people who are not in the game, not deep in the game every single day, recognizing those opportunities. See, advantage players, I'm sitting at the table. I see something different than everybody else, even though all of us are exposed to the same information. Advantage players in real estate, they look at 10 houses on the street. They could tell exactly which one where the money is. I mean, it's almost like it lights up in green.
Mhm.
It's like it lights up. And, anybody who's in the game who really knows what they're doing. And that's the reason why you really want to be very careful. If you're a retail investor and you don't know that much about whatever you're doing, you're just hoping everything goes great. Hope is not a great strategy, by the way. I mean, I didn't write that line, but it's just not the
Yeah.
best strategy because what we talk about advantage players, they assess, they don't guess. And that's what you need to do. You need to be able to assess. And if you're a retail person, you're going to be doing a lot more guessing than assessing. And that's the problem that so many retail people have. And that's the reason that advantage players, professionals, people that are playing at the top of their game, that's the reason that they're able to scoop profits in ways that other people have no idea is even possible. A lot of times, retail people don't even know it's possible to flip something overnight. They don't know how to buy the note instead of buying the real estate, the underlying paper. I mean, there are lots of different ways that professional people can move real estate around, and everybody else is thinking about like one way. So, if you don't know what's even possible, then it can't possibly be on your radar screen. But people who have the inside track, people that really know what they're doing, they have a different way of thinking about it.
Fair enough. So then here, this is going to be maybe a loaded question, but I think I'm curious to your perspective as an advantage player, the way you look at it. Is right now a good time to invest in real estate?
Well, here's the thing. Right now, prices
I
are
know you got a
sagging.
proper answer for that.
No, this is great. This is a great question
Yeah,
because
yeah.
prices are
Yep.
sagging right now.
Right.
And when prices are going up, even regular people look like the smartest kid in the class. But when prices are going down, there are certain people that have a better sense about which ones are going to go down further than others and which ones are going to rebound faster than others. And again, that has to do with advantage play. It has to do with being at the top of the game. It has to do with understanding the markets, understanding the systems. And so I think this is an outstanding time to get involved in real estate, but you have to be a lot more careful and you have to be a lot more savvy because when prices are going higher, everybody's smart.
Well, I would say I do agree with you. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. I think we're still in a very good market, no matter what's going on with prices. We have seen some craziness in the real estate market over the past couple of years, and like you said, everybody looks smart now. Now we start to differentiate those that actually understand
Yes.
versus those that may just want. And there's a lot of people that want, but there's only so many that can do. And I know you help a lot of people with this on a regular basis, and you've certainly been incredibly helpful here today, sharing a ton of information around, investing in our future through real estate, being an advantage player. What is an advantage player? Really breaking down the process of this all. And I'm curious for you, as you do this on a regular basis with people, as your day wraps up, you're done. You've done what you had to do. How do you know it's been a successful day for you?
That's a cool question. It's not only by how much the cash register rings. I mean, that's one measure. How many people I talk to, that's a measure. How many people I have left to talk to the rest of the week or whatever it is, those are other measures and how I'm doing on that. But I spend a lot more of my time as I've gotten older. I spend a lot more of my time being creative. And creative means coming up with new ideas, coming up with new ways to teach other people, what I've learned. I'm kind of getting to the point where I've learned a lot in my many years of being in this business and being in other businesses, venture capital funds, Wall Street. I mean, all the things that I've done. Um, and I spend a lot of time teaching what I've learned to other people, like what we're doing right now,
Mhm.
sharing, and again, I can't give something specific. We're not talking about the property at 44 Cherry Lane, and where I can tell you
Right.
exactly how to do it. But I think that people kind of get the sense they know if they're an early stage person, a middle stage person, or if they're kind of near the top and they just need the dial turned a little bit to get to the top of the game. Everybody kind of, if you're honest, you know where you fall on the scale. And when people come to work with me, I don't work with people who aren't kind of at that high level, ready to go to the next higher level. And those are kind of the people. Even in corporate environments, I tend to speak to executive audiences, people that are really at the top of the game that want to go to the next higher level. They're not line managers, staff managers. It's not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but there are people who
Hmm. Hmm.
specialize in those kind of people. I specialize in dealing with people that are, either ready to be or already are advantage players because they're at the top of their game. They're the best of the best. So I spend a lot of my time being creative, thinking about how to connect with those kinds of people, how to share ideas with those people, and how to just put out a little bit more about what I know.
Well, speaking of that and connecting with people and helping people and teaching people and supporting and all of that, for anybody that is interested in connecting with you to find out more, to learn more, to see how they could potentially work with you and just learn from you, leverage you, where can people go? What can we direct them to? Is there a course?
Probably
Is there a
probably the
website?
best place Probably the best place is go to bullseyecap.com, bullseyecap.com. And otherwise, you can use my name, Joel Block, and it's all over social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, it's everywhere. So Any of those places.
Bullseyecap.com.
Yeah.
Bullseyecap.com. All right, I got that. We just thrown that in the chat as well. So that's out there for everybody. The link is there for you guys.
And
So if you are watching the live
and
feed, you're
David, if
listening to
people
the
are
audio.
interested in, if people are interested in learning how to syndicate, they can go to Syndicate Fast. That's really, if you want to learn to be that syndicator, the person that raises the money, go to syndicatefast.com. We have a whole library of videos that talk about these things, and everything. All of our resources are free. We have a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, we're really committed to helping people learn how this works, and they don't have to pay a penny to learn it.
Amazing. Well, I've thrown both of those links in the chat. So where I was going there was if you're watching the live feed, it's right there now. If you are listening to the recording right now, you're listening to this on iTunes or any of your favorite podcast platforms, be sure to go back to my business page on Facebook, David Greenspan, your real estate industry coach. Search it up. And on there, you'll see the links are all there for you again. So bullseyecap.com, syndicatefast.com. Make sure you tune in. Joel, this has been absolutely amazing. What final words or tips can you share with everybody that's tuned in so that they can get out there, of course, build more mind share, get more market share, invest in their futures, and really leverage everything that we've talked about today to take their wealth to that next level?
What I would tell people is look forward, not backward, because forward is where your future is.
Love that. Look forward, not backward, because forward is future is. Very cool. Very cool final words. Joel, my man, it is a pleasure seeing you once again. It's always a pleasure catching up and talking with you. I thank you for really making the time on the Mindshare podcast today to share with everybody about how to invest in their future.
Hey, well, listen, man, thanks. And I love the name of your show, by the way.
Thank you, my man. Appreciate you, pal. We'll talk to you again shortly. Stay tuned, my man. I will see you in a minute. Thank you. And to everybody tuned in, you are either, right now watching us live, or maybe you're listening to this recording on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, any one of the major podcast platforms. I want to remind you, you can go over to mindshare101.com. You can tune into the episode. While you're at the website, by the way, mindshare101.com, make sure you grab your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle. This is going to walk you through the 7 different ways to communicate. It's a 31-page ebook packed with tips and tricks to help you really step up with a lot more mind share so that you can get more market share. It's got a 90-day social media content calendar. Again, absolutely free. So I want to encourage you right now, go over to mindshare101.com, download the free Ultimate Marketing Bundle. And of course, if you have any questions about it, reach out to myself and my team. Of course, if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, get in touch with my team. They will set up a free Explore call with you, break down all the details, answer all of your questions, and we'll see if we're a fit for one another, and then be able to get you going and help you tackle all of the challenges that you've got in business and more, setting up those systems and those processes to help you get to your next level. Also, get that our push to 100 is on. All you have to do, and this is super, super easy, is go over to ratethispodcast.com/101. So again, that's ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. And of course, big 5-star, 6-star reviews. Tell us how much you love the show. If you would like to be a guest on the show, please let us know. If you know somebody that should be a guest on the show, we'd love to know that too. If you would like to sponsor the show, let us know. And if you know somebody who should sponsor the show, let us know about that as well. We look forward to hearing from you. And of course, if you haven't yet, if we haven't connected on Facebook, it's Mindshare 101, and on Instagram, David Greenspan 101. So I look forward to the connection. I also want to thank our friend Virginia Munden and the entire crew over at the Buzz Conference for sponsoring today's episode. Be sure to visit their website, www.thebuzzconference.com. Follow them on Instagram at the Buzz Conference. Keep tabs on all of the amazing events they are always hosting, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz digital magazine. Also, do not forget that if you are tuned into the live show right now, this upcoming Friday, June 24th, there's an amazing Buzz Bash happening. Make sure you get your tickets for that. Again, June 24th, go over to their website, download those, or buy some. Get some. I don't even know if there's anything left, because this is going to be an amazing, amazing event. You can also, and mark those dates down, September 7th and 8th for Disruption 2022, live event taking place, again, put on by the Buzz Conference at the Liberty Grand in Toronto, Ontario. So again, make sure you mark those dates down, go over to the website, check them out. And as always, I want to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked us out yet, go to my website, Mindshare101.com, click on marketing, check out the powerful marketing suite, and let us help you build a lot more mindshare so that you can get more market share. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.